it's 100, nothing left. 100, till nothing left. All I really know is 100, nothing left. 100, till nothing left. All I really know is.
Well, hello everyone. If you're still watching this, thank you for staying, and it means that you're actually enjoying the stories that I'm actually giving out. So we are on the right path. And it's just doing the heavy lifting at this moment before the stories actually start getting the funny side of things, or the embarrassing side of things, or the exciting side of things. But anyway, we're getting there. So this episode, my life has been an interesting journey. Hindsight, looking back right now. So, you know how everybody has an origin story? Well, mine starts at my grandma's place at the farm. Actually, let's dial that back even further, before I was born. So, disclaimer. Some of the things that I'm about to tell you is information that was given to me, saying, hey, this is something you don't know, but this is information that you have asked for, so we will give it to you the way it is. So whether it's true or not, I do not know, but I can only take it on based on what I was told. Now, where do I begin? Okay. So, earlier on, my mom and my dad lived together, and they had my two sisters at the time, and I was still an infant. So, pretty much, I knew nothing at that time. And this is the part that I was told. So,
I'm too old for that silly kid stuff.
Growing up, I think we lived in Jasmine or something like that. My mom found out that my dad was having an affair with some other lady when I was an infant. And what my mom did is she took me with her to go see this lady. And when we got to the lady, she was just like, well, this is how I was told. But me knowing the temperaments of people, but I was told that she said to the lady saying, hey, listen, this man who you're messing with has got a family and two other kids. And this one is the youngest as an infant. Please leave this family alone because you're being a homewrecker right now. And apparently the lady understood, and they went their separate ways. And my dad went to see this woman. And when he got there, she said, hey, listen, you lied to me. You didn't tell me you've got the family going on and everything. So this has got to stop right now. Dude was pissed, went back home, chased my mom from the house. My mom went to my her in-laws, which is my dad's relatives. There was a rule back then that, if your husband chases you from the house, you better go to your in-laws' house, because it'll be easy for him to make the argument that, yeah, this woman left home and went to another man's house. Meanwhile, she might have gone to her mother's home or anything like that, but the advice that has always been, go to your in-laws' house, so there can never be an accusation of you going to somebody else's place that is not within the family. So she did that. And the in-laws were saying, no, you cannot have this young man who is still breastfeeding to stay far away from the mother. So we need to bring him back to the mother. And that's what happened. And everything happened the way it happened. They got separated, and my mom moved back to my grandma's place and everything. So that's where it picks up from my grandmother's place. Now, my grandma's place, what happened was, I'm not so sure whether it was in Northmead where we were, or in Avondale, which is opposite Chelsea Catholic Church, across Great East Road. I don't know which house it was that it was. I was, again, an infant at the time. So we went to stay there, and whilst we were staying there, my grandma told me the story of how my grandfather passed away. So in essence, he was kind of poisoned. Yeah, he was poisoned, and a week and a half later, the man passed away. He actually got a promotion to be a director of the company, and then a week and a half later, he kicked the rust bucket. And I didn't know the whole precincts to what actually had happened, and I only got to find out that this man was loaded. He had money stacked up to the roof and everything. And he was getting close to his retirement as well, and he put his money into property and stuff like that. But when he got closer to his retirement, obviously that's when he became the director of the company, and then the poisoning situation, the man kicked the rust bucket. And after he kicked the rust bucket, some relatives burnt all the documents that he had, so my grandmother was not able to claim any of the retirement that she was promised to receive after the death of my grandfather. And it has been a battle, and she's received nothing to today. It has been a battle for her since he passed. Now, my grandmother had to step up after this, because realizing that, okay, who's going to put food on the table? What are we going to do? So what she did is, and this is what I found so humbling, this woman was brushing shoulders with politicians' wives, businessmen's wives, like people of high caliber. But when things hit the fan, she humbled herself and went to town markets in towns, and she was selling shima in a big pot to people, just so that we could get something to eat. Now, from then, I was moved to stay with my grandmother, and my sister stayed with my mom in Roma. If you know, Roma was the hub back then. So at my grandmother's place at the farm, it was myself and 4 of the other guys that stayed there, which are my cousins, but they were more like brothers to me. In the next episode, I'm going to elaborate more of who they were and how they came up to be. But yes, us staying at my grandmother's place, we all had our own responsibilities that we had to do. My grandmother had to go to town to cook nshima and bring some food on the table for us to be able to eat. My aunt, I call her Auntie Shanene, she was like the one who was holding down the fort when my grandmother was at work. In other words,
what are you laughing at, pig boy?
She was the drill sergeant. Time to sleep, time to wake up, time to do this, time to do that. Like everybody knew. It's like when she comes and says it's time to do this, oh my goodness. So she was our drill sergeant. Like we would be asked to sleep after lunch and only be woken up at 16 hours, which is 4 p.m. for y'all. And from 16 hours we have we call it sweet course or sweet 16. And we have our sweet 16, and after that we can watch TV and enjoy ourselves to Timbuktu. That was her role. And then there was Aunt Edna. Oh my goodness. Aunt Edna was these 4 brothers of mine's mother, and she cared for me like I was her very own son. Used to bathe me and everything. So the farm where we stayed at, we did not have any form of running water whatsoever. So we had to go fetch water in order to have water in the house to drink or bathe or whatever it is. And that was myself and Danny and Dingani's job to do this. We had to go and fetch water and bring it to the house. Now, looking at the ages that we were scrawny little kids, and we were tasked to do this type of job. And if you see how Dingani looked like back then, you'd be like, this man is buff. But that's because of the hard work that he was tasked to do. And because he started off at an earlier age, and then Danny followed him later, and then Danny was just like, yo, Mulako, you gotta come too. Especially because I hang around Danny a whole lot of time. So when he started going to fetch water, it was I tagged along to spend some time and have fun with Danny. Only to find Danny saying, hey my guy, you're not just gonna come here and play around, you're gonna carry this stuff with. And I became the guy who carries the water as well. and we didn't have a toilet inside the house. We had a pit latrine outside, and so on and so forth. So it's just amazing to see how that young man growing up in such a space finds himself in America. And this is the interesting part of the stories that we're going to figure out in between to find out how the journey of how he came from this place and found himself over there.